The first elections of campaign season around South Florida are weeks away, and we begin at the state level. The changes coming to an election near you, and as all things Florida are, some are controversial and concerning to a lot of people. And so we have some questions for the person at the top. Florida's Secretary of State, Byrd, live with us today, right here in the studio. Secretary Byrd, it is so nice to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here on Constitution Day.
Constitution Day. Happy Constitution Day
to
to everybody. So I want to start with the news of the week. This is kind of statewide. It's I guess a quintessentially North Florida congressional seat we're talking about, but with implications for everybody. And that is a judge in Tallahassee decided that the redistricting of Florida by the legislature was unconstitutional, redrew a traditionally black district, split it up. So that was decided unconstitutional. You, on behalf of the state, your job is to appeal it. Tell us why. What is the defense of that map that a judge calls unconstitutional?
Sure. So what we have is a tension between the federal Constitution, the 14th Amendment, and the state constitution. So that really is the legal issue that needs to be decided, and whether or not, when the legislature passed its Congressional District 5, whether or not which constitution controls, and that's what we will be appealing to the Florida Supreme Court.
So the judge, J. Lee Marsh, said in his opinion was that it diminished redistricting and breaking up that one district, diminished the ability of black voters to elect a representative of their choice. That's kind of the Voting Rights Act. It's also Florida's constitutional act in forming districts that are fair and equal and also allow minority representation. So detail for us how the 14th Amendment would not jive with that.
Right. So the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment says you can't use race as the criteria for when you draft laws. And so the question is whether or not the 14th Amendment and that the Equal Protection Clause and that you can't use race trumps the Florida Constitution, which says that has that diminishment language from the Voting Rights Act. And it gets very, very complicated. Other states, Alabama and North Carolina, are going through similar exercises because we only do this once every decade.
So does it concern you as a person in the administration right now, does it concern you that, well, North Florida has no black representation in Congress right now? And how do you rectify that?
Sure. Well, I mean, the voters have the opportunity to go to the polls and vote. I mean, we have Congressman Donalds, who's a black member of the delegation in Washington, and he's represented by a majority white district. So I think we need to be very careful to assume that certain groups of people are only going to vote a certain way when they go to the polls.
Yeah, valid point. So right now, the maps that have now been ruled unconstitutional, are the maps still in play until this plays out in court? Is that right?
That's correct, because once we appealed, an automatic stay goes in place. So once that stay will remain in place, and the congressional districts as drawn by the legislature will remain until the court determines otherwise.
Okay, let's get into elections for everybody. A whole slate of new election law coming down the pike. We're going into city elections in just a couple of months. We're a year away in campaign season. So I want to kind of take us through some of the new stipulations and new laws. And I think the one that really has been raising eyebrows, and a lot of people don't realize, vote by mail, you've really got to be on that this year, because how many? 2.8 million people voted by mail in 22. And weeks after that, everybody's taken off the vote by mail request logs and has to do it again. What are you seeing in your office? Are you concerned that people are really not going to get that?
I don't know that they're paying attention just yet, but I know our office and the supervisors, all 67 around the state, are really messaging to voters. If your preferred choice is to vote by mail, then it's critical that you go ahead and put your request back in. So I know those are coming in. I know we're messaging, the supervisors are messaging, and that would be my message to your viewers today is to, if you are a vote by mail voter, which about a third of Floridians vote by mail.
A lot.
A lot do, and to go ahead and put that request back in, because we have March 19th of 2024, we have the presidential preference primary in Florida. So it's not you don't have till late next year. You have early 2024 to get those in.
You know, that's been in the news this week too, as you know. I'm not going to ask you about that. We're not going to get into partisan politics today. We want to keep it nice and nonpartisan, because that's your role right now.
Right.
And that's so a lot of what you're doing though is administrating what has been some fairly partisan conservative rules that are really, in some cases, concerning a lot of people. And one of those is this office, the new Office of Election Crimes and Security. I think nobody would say, I don't want secure elections. Of course, everyone wants secure elections. But this and components of this, and the budget was doubled this past session, has really concerned a lot of people to the effect that there's kind of a chilling effect on some people who aren't sure whether they can vote. Are they going to be swept up in a fraud arrest for voting when they shouldn't? How do you tell people, stay calm, here's what you do, we're not going to prosecute you willy-nilly?
Right. Well, first off, it's critical, and the governor and the legislature have made clear that all of our laws, including our election laws, are going to be enforced in Florida. If you're abiding by the law, you have no worries. If you have questions, if you are uncertain about your eligibility to vote, you can contact the supervisor of elections. You can contact my office. We will, for free, give people a legal opinion, an advisory opinion on their eligibility to vote. So no one should have fear that they're going to be arrested at the polls.
So if someone calls your office with a number, you will be able to tell them right then and there, you are eligible or you're not?
Not right then and there. We have to have our lawyers go through and do the analysis, because sometimes we have to find decades-old criminal records and contact a clerk of court. So it's not. So if you have this question, contact us now. Don't wait.
This is the be careful what you wish for call.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. But we're not trying to create felons. We are trying to enforce our laws while allowing anybody who's eligible vote to exercise the franchise.
And one last thing, and I know we have a very short time together, the 3P VROs, that makes me think of Star Wars, C-3PO.
Yes.
Okay, third-party voter registration organizations. We at Local 10 have reported in the past that there has been an effort to surreptitiously, through these volunteers, organizations, change people's voter registrations without their knowledge. There was a crackdown on these. For better or worse, more oversight is essential. Right. But also there are people saying, well, now it's not that easy to register to vote. These were all volunteers, for the most part, hundreds of organizations, really with a very good intention of getting people to vote. Are you concerned now that everyone who wants to cast a vote, register and do it, do not have the same easy, efficient ways to do so under these new laws?
I would disagree and say we make it incredibly...
That was a question, not an opinion.
No.
Right.
We make it incredibly easy to register to vote in Florida. Once you go to your supervisors of elections, you can go to online voterregistration.org in Florida. You can go to your local library. We make it really easy. But what we found is some of these groups, and most of them do a fantastic job, but some of these third-party voter registration organizations don't do a great job, and when they make a mistake, whether intentional or not, they disenfranchise a voter. So when I get a call from a mom who's saying my 18-year-old who was so excited to go vote was not allowed to vote because the 3PVRO didn't turn their registration in timely, that's my concern, is so that people are not disenfranchised.
So people, I guess the message is everybody really has to take responsibility for their own self.
They do, and the courts have said that, and in a citizenship, we're talking about the Constitution on Constitution Day. To be a citizen means to be an active participant, and we make all of the information available.
We sure do appreciate your time, your effort to come in. I know you're speaking at St. Thomas tomorrow?
Yes, my alma mater for my law school, yes.
Secretary Byrd, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, appreciate it.